What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Part of the Problem. I am Dave Smith. He is Rob Bernstein. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, Davey Smith. Nice to be home for all of 10 minutes and then back on the road with you out in Denver.
Whew, I'm looking forward to this weekend, I gotta say. This is Denver Comedy Works has been like, for many years, is just so many of like my closest friends will be like, yo, this is the best club. You got to go play. You got to do the Comedy Works. It's so great. And I just, for whatever reason, have never done it. And so this is the first time we're doing a full weekend, and it looks like we're going to sell out all the shows. There are, as of right now, I believe there 2 or 3 of them are sold out right now, but there's a few tickets left. If you want to come, this is literally the last time you're probably going to have an opportunity to. So go right now. ComicDaveSmith.com has the ticket links there. And then we're in what is it? Cleveland. Hilarities, another great club. Love them. And then of course going back to the mothership in Austin, Texas, which is just always a phenomenal time. I can't believe it's already been a year since that last weekend we had there. But anyway, so really looking forward to all of that. ComicDaveSmith.com for all the ticket links for the Austin one. Friday and Saturday shows are sold out. The last I looked, the Sunday was not sold out yet. But as I have warned you about this, these are the ones you got to get, if you want to come, you got to get them right now, because the mothership always sells out every show. It's really just incredible. And then you got some other gigs in there, I think, as well, right, Rob?
Yeah, well, check out the podcast, Run Your Mouth, and my Zero Hedge podcast. I've done a bunch of really great interviews I think fans of this show would like. And then got 2 weeks that I'm on the road with you. So nothing, no urgent porches, but if you go to porchtour.com, there's still a lot of porching going on, and we're having a blast. So if I'm in your area, definitely come hang.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. So for today's show, we've got, Benjamin Netanyahu is in the United States of America. If you felt a cold, evil breeze this morning, you weren't imagining that. Yeah, that was the war criminal being welcomed into our country. And, it really just is. It's so freaking, the whole thing is just so wild. But so they have I don't know what you would call it, not a press conference, but like a long table with reporters around, filled with the highest levels of Trump's cabinet and Benjamin Netanyahu and a couple of his guys. And anyway, a lot of interesting stuff came out of this. So number one, a lot of interesting stuff came out of it. It was all terrible and pathetic. This might have been one of the most just like humiliating moments for the Trump presidency. In some ways, it seemed like, it seems like this last month or so has really marked kind of the disastrous end of Donald Trump's presidency, and obviously we're still in the first year of his 4-year term, and there's a lot more time to come, and hopefully he does some good things. So obviously he's going to do a lot of bad things, but it's just this event particularly seemed like it covered so many of the things where you just look at it and you're like, Jesus, man, this is just pathetic. I don't know what else to say, but we will get into some of the clips and give our thoughts on them. Why don't we let's start with Donald Trump being asked about Jeffrey Epstein, and then we'll listen to Donald Trump's response and Pam Bondi's response. Let's go to the Trump one first.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape?
Okay, pause it for a second. I just to be clear on this, when he brought up Alex Acosta, and so Alex Acosta was Donald Trump's labor secretary in his first administration, but he's the guy. He was a U.S. attorney for many years. He's the guy who prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein the first time he got caught. And so the way the reporter even phrased it is a little bit off. He says that Acosta allegedly said that Epstein was intelligence, but there's no alleged about it. It's in court documents. Like, he said it. And he didn't say, it's not that he said he was in the intelligence. He said that the CIA came to him and told him to go easy on the guy because he's connected to intelligence. So this was like, I'm saying, again, it's not the way the question is phrased. And I don't think the reporter meant to do it this way, but the way it's phrased almost sounded like some labor secretary allegedly said he was in intelligence, but it's actually much, much more devastating than that. It's the prosecutor on the case who gave him a sweetheart deal. When asked about why he was giving him a sweetheart deal, said it's because the intelligence agencies came to him and told him this guy was connected. So just a clarification on that, because it is much more damning when you say it the right way. But anyway, here, let's play Trump's response.
Sure. If I
Did I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
I mean, sorry. That's the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. This is like, it's like on the level, because, you know, I mean, they had some time to prepare for this, right? Like, what was it? This is 36 hours after it was reported that they were covering up the Epstein thing. So it's like they had some time. But why is Donald Trump responded like your girlfriend went through your phone and found out you were cheating or something like that? And he's like, what about, how could you do this? Privacy. What are you? Well, you can't go through my phone. It's like, dude, they already found out. Like, what are you talking about here? This is his thing. You ask me that now when there's floods? There's floods in Texas. What are you talking about? We're doing so many great things and so many bad things. How do you ask this question a day and a half after we dropped it? Why would you ask me this question now? How dare you bring this up the first time I've faced reporters since we announced that we're covering this up? Like, what type of response is this? It's really sad that there was flooding in Central Texas. So now, anyway, about Jeffrey Epstein, like, what? I don't even know what to say to this. This is just so fucking pathetic. You couldn't come up with anything better than that. And of course, what Donald Trump here does, right, is he's trying to get Pam Bondi to not even say anything. He's going, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, why do you? She was asked the question. He interrupts and goes, do you even want to waste your time with this? And this guy's asking about Jeffrey. People have been talking about this for years. He goes, yes, Donald Trump. People have been talking about it for years. You know, some of the people who were talking about it for years were you, when you promised to release all of the files. Pam Bondi, when she promised to release all of the files, said that the client list was on her desk, then, like, essentially humiliated a bunch of right-wing influencers by saying that they had given them all of the stuff. Your FBI director, your deputy FBI director, yeah, they were the ones talking about it for years. The point was that was supposed to culminate in you releasing the information, and now you've gone back on that. What? I don't know, Rob. What? This is the most nonsense answer.
I already swept this under the rug. Why are we looking under the rug? I already swept it there. This feels like Biden with nobody saying that. Nobody said it. Really? Well, because I asked you it because I just read it in the newspaper. So people are saying it. This is, I mean, we already said on the last episode, at a minimum, it's showcasing the fact that they don't want to look into this and they don't want to have transparency. And the fact that this didn't happen a week ago, this didn't happen 2 months ago. It's not on the day he bombed Iran. This is a very reasonable question to be fielding at a press conference, particularly if you're sitting next to Pam Bondi the day after it happened. It's also, I mean, Donald Trump's pretty good on news optics. I think this is the most widely reported story right now. Everyone's interested, the same as everyone was interested when they said, hey, Epstein killed himself. And then, the entire world was like, I don't think he killed himself. And so now it's a day after you guys are brushing it under the rug and people want to know, so why are you brushing this under the rug? What is the information here? Can you give us a spin? Can you give us a story? And Donald Trump's just going, shame on you for even asking us that question when we have other things to deal with. And it's by the way, fair question about the footage, which I'm going to guess they're going to say it's a reset at 11:59 to new security footage or whatever. But Pam Bondi's right there. You released information yesterday that has clear questions about it. The idea that you're not going to have to field these questions is pretty ridiculous.
It really reminds me of, I don't know, do you ever see the goddamn, there's the best sketch show ever, but on the Chappelle show, he did like a Black Bush, where he was, this was during the George W. Bush years, where he was President Bush or whatever, and he's at one point, they're like, he's at the press conference and they're asking him about the war in Iraq. And they're like, sir, you said there were weapons of mass destruction and then you invaded the country and we have found no weapons of mass destruction there. And Dave Chappelle, playing Black President Bush, goes, why do you guys keep asking me about the war? I got that under control. He goes, what you got to worry about is there's gays getting married. And like, it's just hilarious. It's literally on that level. Like, don't ask about that. Don't ask about that. There was flooding in Texas. This is really, we're doing so many great things and so many sad things, and you're asking about this hugely relevant story. All right, let's go to...
Sometimes Donald Trump blusters just on full display that he doesn't want to ever have to explain himself or give any reasoning, and that is kind of his marketing tool, is just always harping on best, greatest, I did it, it's going to work great, just wait and see, it was Biden's mess. He kind of never gives any reasoning ever, and that kind of works on a lot of people. It's like a hypnosis of Donald Trump just going best, greatest, no, it's going to work. And he does a good job of never even like opening up the cans of worms of people's questions. And so I think for a lot of the Trump loyalists that buy into it, you're kind of seeing on full display, this is who Donald Trump is. And at the moment, he is trying to brush this under the rug. He doesn't want to discuss it. And so he's going, shame on you for even bringing this up. There's no reason to get into it.
There is something about it, though, that this one, I got to say, not just this one. I mean, look, obviously Iran was a huge one. And, the fact that, at least seemingly for the moment, this did not turn into a wider war or escalate into, a catastrophe. I mean, there were people got killed in the thing, so it's not like it was pretty catastrophic if you're their family, but the fact that that didn't turn into a catastrophe certainly helped. But there was no question, like, the Iran thing, really tore at Trump's base and really divided MAGA, and obviously with, the hawks on one side and the really non-interventionists on the other. This, I got to say, there's something about this that, and this is what I'm seeing on social media from, big Trump supporters and stuff. There's something about this one that's a particularly tough pill to swallow, though, especially because, the right wing really, and correctly so, I believe, but they really went all in on this kind of like protecting children idea. With like the crazy trans stuff, with all the crazy stuff in public schools, with like sex trafficking and all of these kind of different, areas. They really like to find a way to just, again, like I said yesterday on the show, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it's not just like you're covering up criminal activity. You're covering up the systemic rape and torture of children. This is just that's too evil, man. Anyway, here is Pam Bondi's response after that.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
All right. And that's it on Epstein. That load of bullshit is all you're going to get. I'm sorry. It's just so funny when she goes, you saw the video, which definitively, okay, well, the video does it, but the evidence prior to the video, this is such utter bullshit. There has been no evidence at all presented that even indicates that he killed himself, which, again, by the way, I've said this from the very beginning. I've never really been a Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself guy. Like, I think it's possible that he was like strong-armed into committing suicide. There's lots of different possibilities here. Just even if we knew that he did kill himself, there'd still be a mountain of very important questions that need to be answered. But the video they show the video they released doesn't even show them taking his body out. It doesn't show anything. It's like a weird angle and just shows that no one passed through this camera at this particular time. We have no way of knowing, like, who were the other inmates that were around him? Where you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they gave us like a blueprint of the prison and showed how this one camera is the only way that anyone could access his cell. They just show you a camera angle. It's ridiculous. So they've given us nothing. And as she said, the only honest thing that Pam Bondi said in that ridiculous rant there is that that's it. That's all you're getting. Oh, and was he connected to intelligence? Well, we just don't know. And it's not, again, it's not as if, as the reporter asked in the question, it was Trump's labor secretary when he was a prosecutor who was on record saying this. It's not as if it's just some random person, or it's not like a podcaster said this, although there's plenty of that too. But this is it. That's it. Essentially, we've got no answer, but we are covering this up, just so you know. You won't be getting the truth. Promises made. Promises broken.
Well, you got some big questions left on the table, which is, firstly, what happened to the safe that you guys took out of his apartment? Is that still missing? Have you looked into the chain of command of or chain of custody when that was taken out of his apartment? Is that the porn that you're speaking of? Like, did you guys actually find that safe? Because it was last reported that safe went missing. So is that still missing, or is that the child porn that you're speaking of? Also, I guess there's a question of why is Ghislaine Maxwell still in jail if apparently, I guess they weren't committing any crimes other than that Jeffrey Epstein was watching child porn, in which case Jeffrey Epstein should be responsible. But then what exactly is Ghislaine Maxwell even in jail for? And then still just kind of leaving it open-ended there where she doesn't really want to address. I haven't seen anything about whether or not he was in intelligence. All right, so that's not conclusive. So does that mean that you guys still haven't investigated that? You're not looking into it? Why have you decided not to look into it? What did you see that made you... Because that's not even saying that you saw evidence that he wasn't. You're just saying that you have no knowledge of that. I thought that this information was on your desk to review. So how did you not come to a conclusion to one of the stories that I think at a minimum we were promised transparency on? But once again, it's just them going, we're moving on from this. And I do think they're testing the TV antenna of just how much people are going to harp on the point and let them get away with it. And who knows, maybe they'll flip-flop on this and readdress it. But at the moment, they're certainly channeling that their desire is to just brush this under the rug and move on.
Yeah, dude, it's so absurd, the amount of things that they're asking you to accept. When you say, so, okay, like you hit a really good one, which is that if you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic girls, he didn't have clients, he wasn't getting girls for other people, so he was just getting them for himself. okay, like you said, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? What are we talking about here? If there's no client list and there was no, okay. And if you're saying here, which is officially what they've said, that he wasn't getting underage girls for other people and he wasn't blackmailing other people and he wasn't connected to intelligence, why are the files that you released so heavily redacted? Then it's not connected to anything. If this is just the story of one pedophile pervert who's dead, why would anything be redacted? Why wouldn't you just release all of the information about this guy and prove all of us wrong? And then, you could say, hey, look, there's nothing here. That's a pretty big question. Also, I mean, like, what are we even talking about here? So you're claiming, look, there's a photograph of Bill Clinton getting a back rub from one of these girls. Alan Dershowitz already admitted, remember he said he didn't take his underwear off, but he was just getting back rubs in his underwear. Like, so that's what we're to believe? That Jeffrey Epstein was getting these underage girls who he was having sex with, but then he was also just getting them to give massages to like presidents and princes and high-powered lawyers. Like, what? This is just too ridiculous. None of it adds up at all. They're not even trying to make it add up. They're not even giving you a narrative that, like, oh, this is actually what they're going with here. Like it's an insult. It's an insult to all Americans, and particularly to people who are Trump supporters.
You need Stephen Hawking's wheelchair. I heard that it has the permanent record.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to the Netanyahu stuff. So this is the YouTube video that Rob sent Natalie. Let's check that out.
Mr. President, again, real quick, on Iran, in your view, is the war between Israel and Iran over, or do those talks need to happen before you can?
Well, I would say that the best man to answer that is the Prime Minister. But I will tell you that in my view, I hope it's over. Yeah, I think Iran wants to meet. I think they want to make peace, and I'm all for it. Now, if that's not the case, we are ready, willing, and able. But I don't think we're going to have to be. But I think Bibi would answer that question very well.
Can you just pause already?
I think it's a good partnership.
Because, I mean, I think that should infuriate all Americans to reference it and hand it over to Netanyahu to be making this decision. This should not be his decision. America first should mean we should have our opinion of what's necessary for us. It should not be for another world leader to be making a decision about what the security risk is or what American involvement needs to be. That's one.
It's truly unbelievable, Rob. I mean, it's like to sit there and go, the president of the United States go, well, I certainly want the war to be over. I don't want to get into a war, but I got to throw it over here to Benjamin Netanyahu to really let you know whether or not we're going to be in more of a war, which Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, leaves the door open for. But I'm sorry, what else were you going to say?
Well, and then it just speaks to kind of the way that Donald Trump handles business, which is, as of late, I think if you're trying to prevent Iran from getting a bomb, maybe we're in a better position because you took out more of their scientists and maybe you spooked them into not wanting to pursue it. But from what I understand, I think they left the deal that they had originally been in. There's no longer nuclear inspectors there. I don't think they've engaged really in direct talks with us since then. And Donald Trump has basically just been saying, well, can you imagine that they would even consider pursuing it after I spanked them this hard? And it's not a lot of reasoning or intelligence here. And by intelligence, I'm not calling Donald Trump dumb. I'm saying it's not like he's speaking to intelligence reports. Right. What he's talking to is just fantasy land of, I think that this is dealt with because that would be the better thing. So I'm just going to keep talking to it being dealt with. But, it just, even this feels like quite the walk back from absolutely obliterated. Or we're not looking for regime change war. We're not looking for anything else because the one thing that we needed to deal with is done. To now you're being asked the direct question. Do you actually think that this situation is handled? And, you should be able to be consistent in this and go, yeah, we had one problem with them, which was pursuing nuclear arms. They are no longer capable of doing that. So we have no reason to discuss it anymore. But he doesn't even seem to be sticking with that lie from 2 weeks ago, that classic Donald Trump, when he is asked a question he actually doesn't want to be on the record or handling, he will defer to the other people in the room and just kind of give like a little bit of his, well, I hope it's all handled, but I think this guy can give you more of the specifics. So it just already feels like a walk back from 2 weeks ago of absolutely obliterated, where he's not even willing to address, I guess, this new narrative of, do we actually have a regime change goal in Iran? Is this situation actually handled? Should be an easy question. Hey, totally obliterated. That was the only goal and we're done with. But he doesn't want to say that.
Yeah. And of course, as everybody forgets now in the history of this 12-day war, but for the first 4 days of the 12-day war, the talking point they were going with was that Israel had totally obliterated Iran's nuclear program, that they didn't need help from the United States. All they needed was America to shoot down the missiles that were coming back in retaliation against them. They didn't need America. They were all bragging about it. And then they were like, oh, wait, no, actually, we do need America. Then we take it. Now they're right. It's just all of it. It's all pure just lies. Total bullshit. How anyone doesn't see through it is beyond me. Okay, here. So let's go to, he throws it over to BB here.
Between Israel and the United States, the partnership between President Trump and me produced a historic victory. It's an incredible victory, actually. It brought the greatest capabilities of the United States that are matched with the great capabilities of Israel and the army of Israel, pilots of Israel, soldiers of Israel, and the Mossad. And the combination of these two extraordinary capacities produced a decisive result. It set back the two tumors that were threatening the life of Israel, the nuclear tumor and the ballistic missile tumor, because they were planning to build 20,000 of these things and launch it on a country the size of New Jersey. And no country could withstand that. So what do you do when you have two things that are going to kill you? You have to remove them. With our combined effort, we did. But when you remove a tumor, doesn't mean that it can't come back. You have to constantly monitor the situation to make sure that there's no attempt to bring it back. So we've had a great achievement, and I think part of the effort of consolidating this and ensuring that we don't have to repeat this is to monitor this carefully. Of course, the president and I are talking about it, our teams are talking about it, but there's no question this is a historic victory. And I think, as was said here today, this has already changed the face of the Middle East.
But it's not over in your
But I think that there's an opportunity here to create a historic expansion of the Abraham Accords, which were themselves an act of history that deserve a Nobel Prize for the president. But I think the opportunities are much bigger. And I hope, I'd like to believe that Iran would not test our fortitude because it would be a mistake.
And do you believe that?
All right, so there you go. I mean, he's essentially saying nothing except leaving the door open. Oh, yeah, we removed the tumors, but tumors, they can come back, so we'll have to keep monitoring it. And of course, as everybody knows, is that Benjamin Netanyahu's goal here is still regime change. He's still looking to suck America into a regime change of Iran. Hopefully he's not able to, but all of this is, I don't know. What can you even say about it? It's like, first of all, he's sitting there. The argument is that this was a threat, that Iran was a threat to Israel. Doesn't even try to make an argument about how they were a threat to the United States of America. It's not even a thought that should be included in there. It's that this was a threat to a country the size of New Jersey. Can't stand this. But our great partnership came through to get. It's like a welfare mom talking about her partnership with the government. It's like, partnership. You get stuff for free. That's not a partnership. It's a parasitical relationship. And, to say that, first of all, this idea that Iran was such a big threat to Israel is also just totally invented. I mean, Iran has only attacked Israel directly. Like, the Iranian military has only attacked Israel in response. They attack Israel in response to Israel bombing them or killing Iranians in Syria or something like that. And again, what they typically use when they go after Iran is that Iran's, proxies, basically anyone who's ever done business with them is now, Iran is responsible for them. But like, bombing Iran didn't change their ability to sell weapons to Hezbollah. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of that's been changed by this. Of course, Israel, this is an important detail of the 12-day war, is that after Trump dropped the bunker busters on their nuclear facilities, Israel just started bombing regime targets that had nothing to do with Iran's nuclear capabilities. So, it's there you have it. Here's Donald Trump. You're not getting Jeffrey Epstein. You're not getting the Jeffrey Epstein information. Benjamin Netanyahu will dictate our war policy. And President Benjamin Netanyahu says the door is still wide open. Any thoughts, Rob?
Well, I think that the last point is the key point there, which I guess we can all hope that the Iranians turn around and say, all right, I guess we're done with our nuclear efforts, and that's the end of this. But, the Iranians have yet to make any such statements. Donald Trump has made the statements of it's totally obliterated and we no longer have to worry about it. But everything since then seems to be a little bit more of even this, I mean, how soon till we hear, we thought we totally removed the tumor and we were mistaken, but the tumor is at its smallest size yet. So now's our best opportunity to actually get rid of the full cancer. Oh no, it's back in remission. I'm just saying, listen, we might not have to hear about this storyline ever again. It might be 6 months till we hear the storyline again, but it's already a significant walk back from the completely obliterated. And they certainly sound like they're leaving the door open for if we're not in the exact same place we were before we struck them, with Iran just going, sure, we'll give you everything that you're looking for and no longer even have a civilian nuclear program, that I don't know, what are we going to have to fight another war to prove to them that we won the war? It just sounds like we struck them, and now we're assuming that they're just going to give us everything that we said, everything that we demanded. And if they don't, we're not going to make any statements about how we're going to handle that.
It's important just to remember in this whole thing, because this really is, to me, like the most important aspect of all of this, is that the Iranian nuclear threat is all made up. And like, I know I've been saying this for weeks and weeks now. I mean, I've been saying it for many years, but I've been talking about it a lot over the last few weeks. But remember, Scott Horton has this, I got him on tomorrow, so I'll have to ask him to remind me about this. But there was, I remember, it's been a while since I read about this, but there was actual like focus group, what's the term I'm looking for? When they try to figure out what, will sell with people. But
I think focus group sounds right.
Focus. Yeah. So there was actual focus grouping done. It was in the 1990s where they were trying to get, figure out what would get people to support a war. And they'd ask people, like at the mall, go and just ask people about what would. And the thing is that in like almost all of the focus grouping, we had just fought the Persian Gulf Desert Storm, the first war in Iraq. And people just weren't really moved by that. Didn't really do it for them. Where you're like, oh, look at little tiny Kuwait. Don't we have to go to war to help a small country or something like that? It's like, didn't really do it. And the thing they found was nuclear threat. That's what got Americans. That's what got Americans to be like, oh, okay. All right, that's something we got to go to war over. I mean, if some real evil regime's using nukes, so we got to stop them from doing that, because nuclear weapons are scary. And that's all this is. That's all this is. Dude, you can go back and read, again, this is, the neoconservatives, who, of course, hijacked the government under George W. Bush, with really led by Dick Cheney, were the neoconservatives. You could go back and read their own writing. Right? Now, the thing that you got to keep in mind here is, right, that the neocons were always like the American vanguard of the Israel lobby. They were essentially the Likud party in America. So they were this is why the clean break memo, the famous clean break memo written by Richard Pearl and David Wormser, was sent to Benjamin Netanyahu. These were Netanyahu's guys there. And so the fact is that the actual neoconservatives are pretty much all out of power at this point. I mean, not that, Victoria Nuland was just in power under Biden, is no longer under Trump. But Netanyahu's still there. Their other wing, the Israeli wing, is all still here. But so if you go back and you read which really I would highly recommend people do, read a clean break, new strategy for securing the realm. It's not that long of a document. You get through it in one sitting. But so there's that, and then there was like a companion piece to it, which I think it was David Wormser wrote, "Coping with Crumbling States." And you can look through the whole thing is basically the idea. I've talked about this many times on many shows, but the idea, the clean break was a break from Oslo. It was a break from the peace process, a break from the promise to give the Palestinians their own state. And the idea was that essentially, like, if we can overthrow all of the Arab regimes that support the Palestinians, then Israel never has to give the Palestinians a state. They can subjugate them forever and slowly ethnically cleanse them out of their land, and the Greater Israel Project can proceed. That was the idea of it. They were all about overthrowing Saddam Hussein. They talk about it in all these documents. I mean, and not just those two. I mean, all types of neoconservative writing in the 90s and the Project for a New American Century and all this shit. But specifically in the clean break memo and in Coping with Crumbling States, talks all about overthrowing Saddam Hussein. Never once brings up weapons of mass destruction. It just wasn't even that wasn't what it was about. It was about overthrowing Saddam Hussein. And they had this whole like scheme about how it was really, really crazy. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Scott Horton just was on Tucker Carlson, did a phenomenal job of breaking all this down. But the idea was that if you overthrew Saddam Hussein, the Shiites would take power. We could. They were saying that Jordan, the Hashemites in Jordan, would be able to control the Shiites in Iran and in Iraq rather. And that would hurt Iran. It was the exact opposite of what ended up happening. But the whole goal was to overthrow these regimes so that Israel can not have to give up any land for peace. It had nothing to do with nuclear weapons, weapons of mass destruction. It's not a thing. They only brought that up after 9/11 when they knew they needed to sell the war, because they knew that this is how you sell it. And they knew after 9/11, like the next year, telling the American people that there's a guy in bed with the terrorists who's about to develop nuclear weapons or has nuclear weapons, they knew that would be something that would sell to the American people. That's all this is with Iran. It has nothing to do with nuclear weapons. Nobody's worried about Iran's. They have a huge inspections regime. We know the talking point that the war hawks use of they're enriching up to 60%. We know that for a fact because the IAEA inspects the goddamn nuclear sites. So the whole point is this is all just made up. It's all just a justification for trying to overthrow the regime there. That's all it is. And that's what Benjamin Netanyahu is allowed to keep the door open for, because Donald Trump hands him, as you said, America's war-making decision power. It's just utterly ridiculous. There was more good news that came out of this meeting. Speaking of campaign promises and betrayals of America first, here's Donald Trump on Ukraine, on the latest there.
On Ukraine, Mr. President, are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard. Very sad. So many people are dying in that mess.
On Ukraine, Mr. President, are you planning?
Meet the new boss, Rob. That's what we're doing. We're blowing up deficits and blowing up people. What a change. What a change here in DC. By the way, on top of that, did you hear the other day, did you hear Donald Trump talking about amnesty the other day? I don't know if he actually said the word amnesty, but talking about how, because there's all types of, the big, beautiful bill, another 1,000-page monstrosity, and there's all like, there's like the provisions that have to be worked out afterward. But he's talking about, well, the farmers and the workers, these are people who've been working there for many, many years. So he's walking back deportations, walking back the no new wars, walking back ending the war in Ukraine, blowing up the budget. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, this is all awful. Just terrible.
And I think I think Donald Trump is somewhat actually contending with the reality that our economy needs some degree of immigrant labor. And because we don't really have legal channels for it, I think the number is like 10,000 low-wage workers a year or something like that. But we probably do need some of these illegal Mexican workers to actually work here. And I know that none of the America First people like to hear that. Yeah. And I haven't done my homework, but I don't even know how many Americans are actually looking for these jobs. But the reality is, I think in certain sectors, such as restaurants, hotels, farm work, and others, you probably do need to have more migrant workers than you could legally have at current levels. And I don't think every one of those jobs can just be filled by American workers. But now you have a bit of a problem where it's just preferred industries that if they can lobby Donald Trump's, then they get to keep Mexican workers. But if you're a small construction business, you can't. So it's just kind of the same corruption. It's not really any dignified American first policy. It's just more of, if you're a powerful enough lobby group that you're able to get Donald Trump's ear, then you get to keep breaking the law while other people, might have their businesses ruined and actually broken up because of the law.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's really just the whole thing is freaking pathetic. And I think that, as I said on the last episode, the thing, I mean, there's several aspects to this, but one of the major ones is that you go like, look, Donald Trump is gone in 3 years. And there really isn't anybody in the Republican Party who has what Trump has. I mean, J.D. Vance is a talented guy. He has never demonstrated that he can carry a movement the way Donald Trump did. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, I think he's better suited to do it now. I think like J.D. Vance, he looks the best he's ever looked, which is, not to be vain, but like that is a part of this. We are just smart monkeys, you know what I mean? And like that is something that human beings care about, like looking presidential. And he was chubby for a while and he lost some weight. And then he also had this thing where like when he was overweight, it always looked like he was wearing eyeliner. Do you remember those days and like the old pictures of him? Like he doesn't have that anymore. And he's a smart guy and he's good on camera and stuff, but like he doesn't have what Trump has. And the path for J.D. Vance to become president would be for this administration to be just overwhelmingly successful. And then for him to be like, look, let's keep this going. And this shit is just, it makes it like impossible. It makes it, what would he even run on? What are you going to say? Oh no, we're really going to do the things this time? All those things we said we were going to do that we completely backed off of doing. Nah, we'll get it now. You're not going to be able to tap into that energy when it's just very clear to anyone paying attention that you've, the swamp drained you and you didn't drain the swamp. So, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. All right, let's switch gears here a little bit because I did feel that I needed to respond to this piece. Ben Shapiro did another piece, not exactly about me, but I was included in it. And we already, listen, RIP, Ben Shapiro's already been destroyed and buried. We already had the funeral. This is just this. I wouldn't devote an entire episode to this. This could just be a segment. Maybe we could call it "Kicking a Lifeless Corpse." But
it's nice that he includes you now, though.
It is nice. It's it's been a big year for me, Rob, and so it's I've made it to the level of being included in this. But there was Ben Shapiro did a piece kind of gloating over all of the non-interventionists being so hysterical about Donald Trump bombing Iran when there was never any risk of a war or anything like that. So let's play this piece and we'll respond to it.
President Trump was never, ever going to get us into a nation-building project in Iran. That was never. Have you met President Trump? Have you watched him for the last 10 years? What unbelievable lack of faith it shows in President Trump for people to suggest that Trump, of all people, was going to get us into World War III on a nation-building exercise in the Middle East. Are you out of your damned mind? And I think that it's actually worth
there. First of all, what a lack of faith that it shows in President Trump. Like, I don't have faith in politicians. I think it's a weird word to use. Like, faith, the belief absent evidence. Like, yeah, no, I don't have that. And to turn around now, I know they're all really loving this. To turn around now and go, oh, it's so ridiculous that anyone thought that Donald Trump was going to get us into a regime change, nation building war. I mean, sure, he started bombing a country, posting positively about regime change, and ordering an evacuation of Tehran. But how could anybody possibly think that he was interested in regime change? I mean, sure, he's doing this on behalf of a foreign government who has openly for 30 years said they want regime change there. But how could anyone think this was going to be a regime change nation building war? But of course, the point that so many of us were making was that isn't completely in Donald Trump's control anyway. I mean, look, if you want regime change, the only real way to do it, at least the only way I've really seen it done, is to have forces on the ground. And much of the time, you need to be occupying the country if you want to determine who the new regime is going to be. But regardless of that, the point was always that the reason we're not in a bigger war with Iran is in large part because Iran gave us advanced warning so that there would be no American casualties. And had they not done that, then it's not so much about what Donald Trump wanted coming in. The point is, what's Donald Trump going to do? Like, look, just it's so funny. There's such an irony here that the people like Ben Shapiro warmongering about the threat of Iran, their strategy here relies on Iran not being the crazy people that they claim they are. It's like, what if Iran, just a hypothetical, what if they really were as dangerous as Ben Shapiro makes it out to be and didn't care about their own survival? What if they had just killed a few hundred Americans? Well, what's Donald Trump going to do then? I mean, he would have to light the place up, right? You think Donald Trump, if in the middle of the 12-day war, a couple hundred Americans got killed, what's Donald Trump going to do? Okay, so what's their response then when Donald Trump starts lighting up the place? If they decided they wanted to go out with a fight, they, as all military experts have said, they can touch tens of thousands of Americans in the region, that is. Anyway, that's the point. So to sit here and say, oh, it was so stupid for anybody to be concerned about this turning into a catastrophe is just ridiculous. It makes no sense. All right, let's keep playing.
While to replay the footage of the people who said this sort of stuff, because perhaps you should take their opinions with a grain of salt. Perhaps you should not take them quite so seriously when they claim they know what the hell they're talking about. If you got this one this wrong, that does raise some questions about just how seriously we ought to take you on matters of the factual.
Yeah.
Here's
Cue Ben Shapiro on COVID. Go ahead, roll the clip.
Yeah, isn't it unbelievable too? Like, there is something about this. So Ben Shapiro is essentially making our argument that track record really matters. If you got this one this wrong, then maybe we should never listen to you again. I mean, we just can't trust you. We should never take your opinions seriously. The guy, Ben Shapiro, okay, look, let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say we got this one wrong. I mean, I don't think there's anything I got wrong. Play back whatever I said, or he's about to play one of them. I don't think I got anything wrong on this. But let's say we did get it wrong. Okay, so me getting it wrong, like my preferred outcome would have been we didn't do this at all. And that would have put us, Rob, in the terrifying position of being where we were a month ago. Literally, with Iran not having nuclear weapons, not having made the political decision to acquire them, actively in negotiations with the United States of America about bringing their enrichment levels down. That's the catastrophe that would have come from listening to me. Ben Shapiro spearled the war in Iraq. 1 million people died. The country was destroyed. And by the way, Baghdad was handed to Iran. Like, these are the consequences of his war. Ben Shapiro, from the biggest platform at the time, Ben Shapiro was still like the biggest conservative commentator, or one of them in America. What did he say during COVID, Rob? Get the vaccine, dopes. He was convincing right-wingers who were skeptical of the thing to get it. And of course, supported every draconian policy along the way. So it's like, what do you also supported the war in Ukraine, the war in Libya, the war in Syria, just all of them. Celebrated as Al-Qaeda took over Syria. So like, but he thinks he's still in a position to say, you got this one wrong, so therefore we should never take you seriously again. It really is just appalling. It's like, it's unbelievable with the track record of just utter destruction. I think you'd be hard pressed to find the major issue Ben Shapiro's ever been right about. Every major issue he's been on the wrong side of. And yet he's going to bring up track record now. Okay, Ben. Okay. There's a reason why this guy will never agree to debate me. Because it would be so much fun for him to say to my face, you're disqualified over your track record. And then to go, great, let's get into it. Let's get into where you were on COVID and where I was on COVID. Because the truth is, Rob, like where me and you were on COVID, Ben Shapiro's there right now. He just wasn't there at the time when it mattered. They all admit that we're right now. Anyway, let's keep playing.
You on matters of the factual. Here's just a small slice of some of the people who claimed that this entire situation, that Israel bombing the Iranian nuclear facilities, or American support for that, or America doing a B-2 raid, that was somehow going to lead to World War III. Just a few of these folks.
A war with Iran is a world war. This is not 2002. Iran is now part of a coalition that includes the biggest economies in the world and the largest militaries in the world. So a war with Iran means a war in effect, or by proxy, but still a war with Russia, China, Turkey, and a lot of the rest of the world. So that's a world war. It's not just as simple as we're going to take out their nuclear facilities. Okay, how are you going to do that?
In the next 200 days are some of the most perilous times for the American Republic in its history. Because if we don't get this sorted, we're going to be drawn in totally into a conflict as a combatant.
And if it's not Ukraine, it's Israel or someone else. There's so many. Our foreign policy is so suborned, so much not in America's interest, so much used by the military-industrial state or particular lobbies in favor of particular places. We could be yanked into war for absolutely no consequential reasons whatsoever.
This war, which we do not need to fight, which is not in our interest, has the potential to be devastating to our country, let alone the region. What is the moral relativism in any of that?
Do you think that we are moving toward war with Iran?
Yes, I do. And it looks like the chosen destination is indeed Armageddon. There doesn't seem to be any real appreciation for the implications for us and frankly, for Europe and the world, as well as the Middle East.
Whatever you put the risk at here, which if this thing keeps escalating, the risk of this going to a real ground war, another war in the war on terrorism, let me be very clear when I say this. I don't know that America will survive this. We went into the terror wars in a much stronger place than we're going into this one. And this is a much tougher opponent than Saddam Hussein or Muammar Gaddafi. We didn't go into the terror wars $37 trillion in debt. We didn't go into the terror wars with the cultural and political and racial divides. We have mass protests in the streets right now over Donald Trump trying to enforce his immigration policy. This is going to be, this has the potential to be an utter disaster.
America cannot have a war with Iran, by the way. It would lead to a regional war. It would be costly, bloody, threatening.
I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire. Obviously, other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shores of Iran.
These are the people who kept telling you it was going to be World War III. And there are lots of them. Lots and lots of people who are telling you it was going to be World War III. Now, I just want you to note the complete and utter disconnect from reality. Utter disconnect from reality. Last night, as Iran was firing,
you could pause
it's
it here,
obviously
like already. I don't know, Rob, maybe I'm not seeing, like, I do understand, again, on like the lowest IQ narrative where you could go, these people are warning of disaster. Disaster didn't come. Therefore, they were wrong to warn of disaster. But like, again, this is dumb. Whatever analogy you want to say, playing Russian roulette, driving drunk, doing any of those things, you could do that and not have it end in disaster. It doesn't mean that it was justified or it was an acceptable risk. And look, I guess I would say there were a couple clips in there, not of me, but there were a couple. Maybe you could say McGregor and Tucker should have like hedged a little bit more and said like the risk of this is very high rather than saying it like a little bit more of certainty. But even the clip he plays of me, I correct myself in it and I say, look, this will lead to disaster. I go, okay, this has a high likelihood of leading to disaster or an unacceptable risk or something like that. This doesn't prove anything. Like, I don't know, saying we should not take this action, it has a high risk of calamity, and then it not ending in that does not prove that it didn't have a high risk. I don't know what even the argument is here. I don't know. Any thoughts on any of this, Rob?
The clips of you, I do not think prove his premise because I think the language used is this has the potential to be a disaster. Or you were using verbiage along those lines. So to say, hey, these guys said this will result in a war, and it didn't result in a war, so don't listen to them. That's not the statements that he took there. That's not what you were saying. You were saying this is a bad idea because it has the potential to be the following problem. So he's not really contending with what you were saying.
Yeah, and again, like he can make the argument that, oh, this was, for me saying like, listen, I don't know that our country gets through another full-scale Iraq like ground war type thing. And he could say, well, this was never going to lead to that. But again, that relies on it going the way that it went. That relies on Iran not wanting it because they actually fear their own, destruction, which again undercuts the entire justification for why we have to worry about Iran getting a nuke to begin with. But all right, here, let's play a little bit more, see if he actually makes a point, and then we'll wrap up.
Coordinated strike on Al Udeid Air Base, reported by everyone, coordinated. A vanity project in an attempt to prop up the Ayatollahs. Tucker Carlson took to the airwaves to lament the great tragedy that was befalling Qatar. And notice the hand-wringing. Notice the sackcloth and ashes. Notice the hand to the heart here. Notice the deep and abiding pain he feels, apparently at missiles that didn't hit Qatar. And notice that he did not express any of that same pain. I noticed on this broadcast about a jihadi suicide bomber killing 20 Christians at an Orthodox church in Syria the same day, or any of that same sympathy for the victims of October 7th.
It's
just sort of fascinating. He also,
just by the way, he did bring up that they did a whole segment when Scott was on about the Christians that got killed in Syria. So it's just wrong about, like, the first time he gets to a point, he's just wrong about that. But then Ben Shapiro's going to go, he goes, well, I didn't see you getting all upset about Israelis being killed or something like that, which is just so like, yeah, Ben, why does that have to be everybody else's priority too? Why? Actually, Tucker has, for years, he's been one of the lone voices of like people with really big audiences on like conservatives who have constantly been talking about the plight of Christians in all of these countries. It's one of the main reasons why he's so opposed to the war party. So Ben Shapiro's just lying or wrong as usual. But yeah, again, it's like he's talking about when Tucker Carlson, I believe, saw on his show, like he got an update on his phone that the missiles were being launched, and he had a moment where he was like, man, I'm really praying for our country right now. It's like, yeah, Ben, like some of us take war very seriously and are very concerned about it after the last 7 catastrophic ones that you advocated for. That this is your big own. Your big own is, I supported all of these wars that were utter catastrophes. Then I was supporting another one that didn't end in a catastrophe. And look at all these people who were warning that it might be another one. That's it? That's what you got? All right, Ben. Wow, the intellect of Ben Shapiro is the prowess. Just how does anybody? We must all be in awe of this guy. I swear to God, the whole like neocon, like the whole war hawks in the old controlled media, which Ben Shapiro is very much a part of. They all like, because it's such a controlled environment, they'd always like they'd like act as if some of these people were such impressive thinkers. This is how they used to talk about Bill Kristol. Oh, Bill Kristol is this super, super smart guy. And then you see him go debate Scott Horton and you're like, oh, he's a retard. Like he doesn't have anything. They used to talk about how Charles Krauthammer was this genius. It's like just the most boring guy who never said anything interesting. And Ben Shapiro's the same way. They all try to make it out like his, oh my God, the power of Ben Shapiro's mind. And you're like, this is what you got? All right. Listen, we don't even need to go through any more of this. Let's wrap there. Thank you guys very much for listening. As always, come see us in Denver, in Cleveland, in Austin. Go check out Rob on the road. Porch Tour.
Yeah, I'll read off some of the upcoming cities. I got Doylestown, PA, Brewston Mills, Johnson, PA, White Bear Lake, Minnesota, Memphis, Tennessee, Bon Aqua, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Baldwin, Missouri, Pekin, Indiana, Cincinnati, Ohio, and that brings me till about mid-August. So just go to porchtour.com. There's a lot of dates up there, and it's going to go all the way to September, October, and I got more dates to get up soon.
Very, very good. I just see, literally, as I'm seeing this on Twitter, I just got a notification that Elon Musk replied to me, but he didn't reply to me. He replied to Chief Nerd, who posted a video of me. Just reply to me, Elon. This is, anyway.
Let's get him on the show. Let's hear him out. See what is America First or America, I don't know. What's he calling it?
The America Party. Oh, yeah, I forgot. We never talked about that. Well, you know what? We'll talk about that. Well, I got Scott tomorrow. So, well, I don't know. Next time, we'll get into that. Long of the short, I like what Elon's saying. Don't know about forming a new party, if that's a good idea. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you tomorrow. Peace.